Ladies and gentlemen, we have big news. And when I say big news, I mean massive news. And all this revolves around is tomorrow. Tomorrow we are getting a massive update for Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is going to include 2 new maps, a new game mode, and on top of that, a whole bunch of fixes in the game. In today's video, what we're going to be doing is going over everything that we know so far is going to be in that patch, including details on both maps. On top of that, going through all of the patches that we know are coming to the game based off of what the developers have said thus far. This is a big patch and a pretty early patch. This is the earliest we have ever seen maps be added into a Call of Duty game after the launch of the game, which is pretty insane, and we'll get into that a little bit more when we actually talk about the map. So I'm going to stop talking, and without further ado, let's dive in to the details. So to start things out, let's dive into the thing all of you are probably here for. First of all, we've got the new ground war map called the Krovnik Farmland, and this one is interesting because there was rumors that Farms was the code name for the map was going to be a 50v50 map, and they haven't mentioned anything about that. They've just mentioned that it is a new ground war experience, and in fact it even goes deeper than this, because if you look at your message of the day on Modern Warfare today, it says new free content this Friday, which is tomorrow. Prepare to jump into the new large-scale battle on Krovnik Farmland, a new ground war map. Nothing about 50v50, nothing about anything like that. So I would assume that it's going to launch at 32v32, but other than that, we don't have too much details. I'm guessing since it's a farm, there's going to be a lot of open fields, which means that this is basically going to be a sniper's paradise. Then we have the second map. This is the one I'm actually looking the most forward to. It is called Shoot House, and the description that they gave us in today's message was, then check out Shoot House, a new 3-lane multiplayer map putting you in close quarters combat. Now, there's 2 things that are interesting about that. First of all, it's a 3-lane map. That's your more traditional Call of Duty map. It's nice to see that they're going back to that. I think it'll play a little bit faster than the other maps. Also, they say it's going to be close quarters combat, so hopefully it's a little bit smaller of a map compared to what we're used to seeing in Modern Warfare. This I'm interested in. It sounds like a more traditional Call of Duty map. It should play faster, hopefully a little less camping. Can't wait to get my hands on that map. Now, the thing that I find most interesting about these 2 maps is the fact that a couple of weeks ago, actually I think it was only a week ago, we got leaks of 38 different maps coming to Modern Warfare. They were all found within the game files, and there is 38 of them. Now, the interesting part is that both Krovnik Farmland and Shoot House were 2 of the 38 maps. So it makes that leak look even more legitimate. It actually makes it look like we're going to be getting 38 maps in the next year of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is pretty damn exciting and a lot of maps. So the thing with this is, if we know 38 maps are coming to the game, that is just over 3 maps a month, which means we might be getting 1 more map or even 2 more maps within November. As I mentioned earlier in the video, this is by far the earliest we've ever seen DLC maps within a Call of Duty game. So if they maintain that strategy of every 2 weeks or so adding in new maps and adding in new game modes, this game could remain pretty damn fresh throughout the year. So I'm really glad to see that they are going to be doing this. Now, it's not just maps that they are going to be adding tomorrow. First of all, we got a game mode and then a whole bunch of fixes for the game that we're going to talk about in a minute. So let's first jump into the game mode. So as you can once again see by the daily message, tomorrow Hardpoint is going to be added into Modern Warfare, a game mode that quite honestly I was surprised was not there at launch, but like I said, we are getting it tomorrow. Now, as we found out today from Ashton, who is the community manager over at Infinity Ward, she said that new free maps for Modern Warfare, we will still have an update going out addressing all kinds of bugs and feedback too. And yes, patch notes will go alongside the update. So in other words, tomorrow with the maps, there is going to be a big patch involving everything Modern Warfare, different weapons, different maps, bug fixes, and we actually have a little bit of details revolving around what these bug fixes are actually going to be. So this information comes from Joe Seacott. He is one of the design directors for multiplayer at Infinity Ward, and he actually has 2 different tweets involving regarding what is coming in this next patch. So we're going to go through everything. So first of all, he says more restricted player callout logic. This is referring to the battle chatter in game. When your character screams out contact randomly and gives away your position, this is what he is talking about there. In the next line, he even says they are going to prevent enemies from hearing callouts in all modes. That is fantastic. No longer are you going to be sneaking up on an enemy, your character yells out contact, and the enemy turns around and kills you because your character has Tourette's.
Shocking! Fuck off.
The next thing he says is challenge system fixes. So there's a lot of challenge systems that need to be fixed. Basically, a lot of challenges just aren't tracking properly or tracking at all for that matter. So this involves your missions, your daily challenges, and of course, weapon camo challenges as well that need to be fixed. So hopefully all of those are addressed in this update. After that, we have a weapon tuning. So this is one that definitely needs to be addressed. I'm guessing the 725 and the M4A1 are both going to get some pretty large nerfs here. They're by far the most used weapons in the game, the most overpowered weapons in the game, and I'm betting that they are going to be adjusted after this update. And then finally, we have spawn updates. I'm guessing over the next couple of months, spawn updates are going to be pretty consistent throughout every single patch. This is something they're going to need to be constantly working on as they introduce new maps like they are tomorrow. Those spawns will need to be addressed as well. It's very hard for them to kind of work on that internally when it's not a massive scale like it is when they actually launch the maps. Moving on to his second tweet, the first thing that he says is a couple more things in our sites in addition to the items below this tweet, which is the things we talked about before. First of all, Claymore balance. I'm guessing Claymores are going to be getting quite a substantial nerf as they're pretty much a crutch for a lot of players. I'm guessing that either one, they are going to deal less damage, or two, they are going to be much more visible, possibly longer lasers. I think I would prefer the second a little bit more. The second thing he says is EOD adjustment. So this kind of goes alongside the Claymore update, but I'm guessing EOD is going to get a little bit of a buff. There is certain things that EOD still doesn't protect you from. Number one is the bouncing Bettys. Number two is the C4. If you use either of those against someone with EOD, it still kills them, does all of their health damage, and they are dead. So I'm guessing that that is what it's talking about, not necessarily against Claymores, because generally speaking, EOD does protect you from Claymores. Generally, there are those odd times where it still kills you, but again, that might be what this update is actually addressing. And then the final thing that he says in this tweet is the second round of footstep tuning. So I'm guessing that this is going to be making footsteps a little more silent, so you can't hear someone coming a mile away. And then finally he says, and more. So the two things that he didn't address in these tweets that I would like to see changed are, number one, Ghost. I would like to see it updated so that it only works when players are running around, kind of like it has in previous Call of Duties. I find that if I'm playing in a 6v6 game and I call in a UAV, everyone on the enemy team is using Ghost and no one shows up on the minimap, so it kind of makes using a UAV pointless. The other thing I wouldn't be surprised to see them adjust is tanks. Tanks are incredibly strong in ground war, and even if it's just a matter of maybe blocking off some areas where tanks then can't go, I think that would be a good update to it. And I also am pretty surprised that tanks are a one-hit kill against you, even if it lands near you. I would kind of like it if it was a one-hit kill if it direct impacted you, and then a two-hit kill if it hit just somewhere around you. I think that would balance it quite a bit, but I don't really know. I don't really know how they're going to balance tanks, or even if they are for that matter. So we'll have to wait to see until tomorrow's update. So I'm not going to lie, I am pretty happy with this. I'm happy to see that they are already introducing new maps to the game just like 2 weeks or a little bit more than 2 weeks after the launch of it, which is pretty damn insane. On top of that, they are introducing bug fixes that I think need to happen. They're going to be adjusting weapons. So it does seem like they're on top of their shit, and I'm glad to see that they are changing that. Now, the question I have for you guys is, after everything we've talked about today, after everything we found out is going to be added to the game tomorrow, what do you think needs to be changed? What do you think needs to be updated? Is there something we didn't talk about in this video that is just blasphemous to the game to you? I'm curious what you guys have to say, and I'll be reading all the comments that you guys leave down below. Personally, for me, we covered pretty much everything that I would like to see changed, but like I said, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say. Also, as always, if you did enjoy this video, it's always appreciated if you hit the like button, and of course, if you're new to the channel and like what you see here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, make sure you have notifications turned on, as it is the best way to stay up to date on all of my videos. But guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, guys, peace out.
We are reaching for